Hello everyone and welcome to Outriders New Horizon. In today's video we're going to explore a Devastator anomaly power build focusing on the Seismic Shifter tree and using the Seismic Commander set. Although the Seismic Commander is powerful by itself, you can bleed the enemies to death using Pale and Earthquake, just spam these two skills and just finish everything off. The only thing that it lacks is single target DPS, and with this build we're going to remedy the situation and increase our damage against elite and bosses, decimating them very fast and very efficiently. I have made two variations of the build using different skills. I'm going to show you first my favorite and second another one in case you like it more. So without any further delay, let's have a look at the first build. We're using 3 pieces of the Seismic Commander. For the first build and the second build, we're going to change the mods a little bit. Now we're using the head, the chest and the legs because they have anomaly power. Everything has cooldown reduction and status power except from the helm that has skill life leech instead of cooldown reduction. And we're using, you see the difference now, you have spotted, we're not using Impale for this build. We're going to use different skills, but let's have a look at the gear before looking at the skills. Untamed Power is one of the most powerful and usable here. We spam the skills so many times and will take so much advantage of this mod, and it's one of the highly recommended to use. It deals so much extra damage. We're going to buff our anomaly power and we're going to deal a lot of damage. We're leaving the default Bloodsock from the head. For the chest piece, we're going to replace the tier 3 mod that involves Impale, and Earth's Legacy is actually pretty good, increase the skill range by 60%, so you will reach out enemies that are further away. And we're going to have double jump because you're going to use Gravity Leap. For the legs, we're going to leave Tainted Blood because it's one of the best mods for the Devastator, and we're going to add Captain Hunter to further increase our DPS for elites and bosses. For the gloves and boots, we're going to use Anomaly Power, Cooldown Reduction, Status Power, and I'm also adding Extra Quake and Despair. Despair is actually the mod that will deal a lot of burst damage for the elites and bosses. It has been buffed. Previously, Gravity Leaped buffed Anomaly Power by 1.5 times, now it buffs 2 times. And for the boots, Ground Crash and Second Quake, so we increase the damage of our Earthquake, and we're going to use Earthquake 3 times. For the weapons, I'm using a lot of variations, but after some testing, I've reached that Damascus Offering is the best weapon for me. It has status power, skill life leads, what we want, Claymore Torrent, procs often in any range, and it's very useful, and it has very good range, 6-meter radius for AoE. And I'm adding Kinetic Stomp because I have tried with the Fortress and it works, but it depends on your playstyle. If you want to spam your primary weapon and focus on Claymore Torrent and Fortress, and you don't want to switch to your secondary weapon, yes, go with Fortress. In case you like to use the secondary weapon, which I recommend, to have the Radiation Splash and Moaning Winds, you don't have to go with Fortress, and the rotation is much smoother, and the mods actually scale with Despair. That's why I like Despair and having these mods. And the Guillotine or the Anonymous Shotgun are the best options because we have Radiation Splash and Morning Winds. Sidearm, I'm not using it as often, but I have Shadow Comment just in case. There is of course an alternative option in case you don't like the Claymore Torrent. Go with the Roaring Umbra because it has the Kinetic Stomp, one of the best mods for the Devastator. It procs in close range, and add Shadow Comment. It deals a little more damage but in low radius, and it has 3 seconds cooldown instead of 2. We don't have skill life leech, although it won't hinder our survivability so much. But honestly, my personal recommendation is Damascus Offering. Let's move on to the skills. We're going to use the Earthquake, Gravity Leap and Reflect Bullets. Yes, Reflect Bullets instead of Golem. You don't need Golem. Honestly, this build has so much survivability that Golem is really unnecessary. You don't need 65% mitigation. You heal yourself with skill life leads, and if you see my talents, I'm not using blood donation and I'm not dying using this build. Why Reflect Bullets instead of Golem? Because of our class, we're going to use the Paladin. Each time you use a protection skill, increase anomaly power by 45%. The Golem skill now has 15 seconds cooldown, that's why you won't have as often the anomaly power boost you need. Reflect bullets, you can simply use reflect bullets, cancel it out, and get it back. So you get the anomaly power boost, you get to 222,000 anomaly power, and also procs untamed power. That's why I recommend it and I like it. Let's have a closer look at the talents. We focus in the seismic shifter tree, everything you see here. We get cooldown reduction a little bit for the kinetic skills because we need the gravity leap. I don't get blood donation because I believe I have more than enough survivability because we have protected by the anomaly and skill sentry. These two combinations are the best combination of skills in the whole trees, in the whole classes. Without any defensive mod, we can have simply armor and resistance capped. Let's have a closer look how this works. We have as a base around 75% damage reduction, 0 resistance. So after we use our skills, we're going to use reflect bullets. They stack up to 5 times, 3 earthquakes, reflect bullets, and see what we got. 85% physical damage reduction, 100% resistance. So you are capped in both armor and resistance. You have 15% skill life leads using the primary weapon, and you're going to survive very easily unless you completely stop using your skills, otherwise there's no way you can die. When the enemies are bleeding, you are hitting them with your skills, you will survive. That being said, I like the strong arm of the anomaly because I'm using the melee attack in between the rotation, and melee attack procs untamed power, so increase the resistance piercing a little more is actually good. However, if you find trouble surviving, replace strong arm of the anomaly with blood donation, and then you will be able to have extreme survivability and not being able to die at all. Let's have a closer look at the second variation of the build. The change we're making, instead of reflect bullets, we're using impale. It's a more traditional, let's say, seismic commander build. We're leaving the helm as it is, with the ultimate impaler and bloodsock. For the chest, we use the palisade, so we can strike to additional targets with impale, and replace the other mode with double jump. And we also replace from the seismic commander the captain hunter with rivers of blood. And that's pretty much the changes. The weapon of choices are exactly the same. The class now has 2 very good flex slots. You can go like this. Once again, blood donation is optional once again. In case you want extra survivability, you can have it, but it's not necessary. And you have to take a node that you won't get any benefit. So you waste a node to get some resistance piercing. You can get red rivers, it's quite decent. You will be able to just blitz on low health enemies, the perfis, the spitting perfis, and the gunners. But once again, it's not necessary, and you can make the changes depending on your playstyle. This build has a little more advantage for the impale for more AoE, although the impale has a very dreadful cooldown, even with so much cooldown reduction. That's why I prefer the other build. You can spam the reflect bullets in between to proc the untamed power and increase your anomaly power, and it works very well. So let's have a look why this build works a little better compared to the traditional seismic commander. We're going to have very good burst DPS against elites and high health enemies, thanks to Despair and Gravity Leap. You can maximize the effect by opening up with reflect bullets, so you can boost your anomaly power, 1 earthquake to apply bleed, and then 1 gravity leap is more than enough to finish off elites, because after that you will deal double damage anomaly for your skills, untamed power, and mods. That's why our mods are one of the highest DPS overall tools that we have. That's why we have double the good DPS mods in our primary weapon and secondary weapon. The Money Winds and Radiation Splash will decimate an elite, and with having only 1 debuff from the Despair, you don't need 2 Despairs. This also works very well against the Jefferson starships, which are the very annoying flying birds. Earthquake can hit them, so you can apply the bleed. Shoot them with Damascus Offering, proccing Claymore Torrent. They will probably ground them. If it doesn't ground them, go below them and proc the Radiation Splash Money Winds. When they're down, they're just dead, because 1 Gravity Leap, 1 Untamed Power proc or Earthquake, and another Damascus Offering for Claymore Torrent proc, and they're dead. And honestly, these are the most dangerous enemies out there, You don't have to worry about bosses, you don't have to worry about elites, you only have to worry about those enemies up there. Because as you can see in the background, after I fought the Blood Merchant and prioritized him instead of the Flying Burst, this is the first time I almost died. Because they did so much damage and I didn't apply bleed to them, where there are 3. If there is 1 bird, you can survive the Jefferson Starship. If there are 2 or 3 Jefferson Starships, you have to prioritize them, otherwise they will deal a lot of damage and stagger you, which is very annoying. There are many advantages of the build. It's very fun, it's very fast, high survivability, you will never die as long as the enemies bleed. You have damage over time effects, crowd control, interrupts, medium range now with the Damascus offering, and the Earth's Legacy increasing our range for the Earthquake, spammable skills thanks to Reflect Bullets and Untamed Power. Very good build, very powerful, and thanks to Despair, it's also very good for group play because it increases anomaly power damage to the enemies for everyone. If you have a teammate, for example, that deals anomaly power with their bullets or their skills, everyone will be able to deal extra damage thanks to Despair. And if I have to think about disadvantages, I can't think of any disadvantage about this build. It's one of the most powerful, high damage over time effects, high burst damage now thanks to Despair and Gravity Leap, very easy rotation to master, you don't have to make very elaborate things, and very powerful amongst the Devastator. I have only thought of another build that may be as powerful for single target or more powerful, but I have to do more testing. And that was it for today's video. I really hope this will help you to build your own version of the Seismic Commander Devastator build. It's one of the most powerful, very easy challenge tier 15 expeditions for solo or group. Very high, versatile, easy to master, very nice rotation and very fun. So feel free to like if you liked, and you can subscribe to stay tuned for more upcoming videos for Outriders and other video games. And as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.